talk how Sylius is using Bunnyshell mainly for the preview pull requests, for the preview environments for pull requests. So, few words about me. I'm Jacob, and I'm promoting something called holistic approach to the software development. Long story short, I'm mainly backend developer, but I'm doing my best to stay in touch with frontend and DevOps things, because I believe that software development is connection of all these words, and we shouldn't stay with the only one way. I'm a software engineer and commerce weavers. We are building software based on Sylius mainly, but we'll talk about it in few seconds. I'm Bunnyshell in Sylius adopter. I was the first contact person in that matter, and I'm really happy. And you will know why in few minutes. I had a short journey with Kubernetes, Helm charts, and Rancher, so I think I'm pretty good person to compare it with the Bunnyshell. So, about the commerce weavers, we are core team members actively developing Sylius for the past few for the past few years. We provide development, mentoring, and educational services around Sylius. Services are available in convenient subscription plans. We also are launching event ticketing system for conferences organizers. If you want to consult your project, write on hello@commerceweavers.com. So let's talk about how we can divide life cycles of pull request. So the most classic flow is we open a pull request, we review it, we can merge it, or to make sure the quality is on a high level, we can check out the branch locally, request some changes if we find something is wrong, and once everything is QA'd, we can merge it. So let's talk about some characteristics of this flow. Checking out the branch, especially after many QA request changes flow, might be annoying because let's say we want to do some quick QA. We are currently working on our task. We need to stash it or commit or do some kind of temporary commit. So we have to mess up with our local branch. For example, we need to reserve a time block for our QA. So we are not able to do a quick QA because we have, let's say, a coffee break. We need to spend more time. Local environment might be affecting the QA. Like we might adding some, let's say we are bumping the composer packages. We need to check out the branch, update the composer. Sometimes it requires to set up a fresh instance of the database because we added some things or the PR is adding new tables or columns. We are sure the changes are working and they meet the requirements, because once everything is QA'd before the merging, we knew that once merged, it won't break things with higher probability. Another usual Sylius flow is that we open a PR, we review it once. We sometimes check out the branch locally, request changes, and once QA'd, we merge it. But more frequent flow is that we just review it, request changes if we find something, and then we merge it. After the merge, we QA with, for example, QA checking the main branch. And once we find some issues, we fix it by opening a new PR. So what we can say about this flow? From the opening the PR to merge is a lot shorter way than previously. We still need to check out branches manually, but we might delay it. So we don't have to check out the branch with a concrete feature. We can just do it later, for example, at the end of the week. We are able to query more pull requests at once. So once everything is merged, let's say after 1 week, we can make a QA for all these features at once at our, let's say, main branch, like 1.13. But once we met guys from Bunnyshell, we changed this flow a little bit. Like from now, we are opening a PR. We do a usual review, but then instead of checking the branch locally, we check how our PR is looking on the Bunnyshell environment. Then we can make request changes, and they are automatically updated on the Bunnyshell environment. So we are sure that even we push anything after some comments, we have the fresh instance of Sylius with latest changes. Then we merge it and we are sure that everything is working. So as I said, there's no need for changing the branch locally. So I can have free 10, 15 minutes before a meeting. I can prepare a quick QA for my colleague. We are sure local environment issues are not affecting QA. So there's no false positive like it's not working on my machine because I forgot to configure something or I messed up something. The speed of QA is similar to the previous flow. So I mean the flow where we merge directly to the branch before the QA. We merge working and high quality PR, so there's a lower chance to opening. There's no change. There's no need to open more PRs just to fix minor issues we didn't detect before. So how it looks like in Sylius currently. Once we open a PR, we can see a comment from the GitHub Actions bot telling us the Bunnyshell preview environment is deployed. After 4 hours of working, it's stopped. So we are able to use the BNS start keyword command in GitHub pull request uh, to start it again. We can also redeploy it in case something has been pushed after the environment has been stopped. If we try to enter the URL when the service stops, we are getting the 503 service unavailable. So we can type the comment I was talking about previously, /bns start. After a few minutes, the comment from the GitHub Actions bot is updated. So we are sure that the Bunnyshell preview environment is started. Here we have a component called mailhawk, wherein we can check if emails have been set correctly. And we have a PHP component, which is the Sylius itself. So as you might see, there's a URL at the top of the screenshot telling us it works. Like I've just entered the link the Bunnyshell GitHub Actions bot commented, and it worked. So you might wondering how actually it works. So in Sylius, we have a .bunnyshell directory when we have a Docker configuration for the Nginx and PHP. You can just go straight to the Sylius repository and you might check how it looked like. I let myself to skip that. It's a Sylius specific thing, but it's based on our regular images. Also, you might notice at the bottom we have templates preview directory when we have a bunnyshell.yaml configuration. This configuration is pretty long, so I let myself to show a few lines. The main thing we have application PHP. As you can see, we have a Git repo, so we define that this Bunnyshell is pointing to the Sylius repository. We have a Docker Compose configuration, so we are telling that use this concrete Docker file from the .bunnyshell directory, targeting our Sylius PHP prod stage with some arguments like defining the database URL. That's the thing I told about. Docker file is defined, so we can change it or we can use another stage just right from this file. Also, there are about 6 GitHub workflows file. prepared by Bunnyshell and available to use by anyone. For example, we have a workflow for preview the environment, stopping it, starting like it's there are the workflows reacting on the GitHub comments, comments in the pull request on GitHub. Also, we have an access to Bunnyshell dashboard where we can, for example, check logs in real time. So if anything went wrong, like we get a 500 error, we are able to check it directly in the Bunnyshell without using, let's say, SSH. So that's really cool. So whether Sylius is using Bunnyshell only for preview environments? No. Bunnyshell hosts Sylius long-living developer preview environments. These great guys told us we can host our dev demo environments for checking if everything is working on the latest main branches, like 1.13 or 2.0. So we are using it to check, to make an additional QA step at the end of, let's say, the sprint. So we have at any time we can reproduce any error on 1.12, 1.13, etc. Also, we have some additional branches like Bootstrap Shop or API Platform Free. So we don't have to manage it on our own. We don't need to manage the servers. We just use Bunnyshell to host them. So what are the benefits of using Bunnyshell from our perspective as Sylius? Bunnyshell.yaml is way easier to use. Like, as I said, I had an opportunity to configure Helm charts, and Bunnyshell with especially the Docker Compose section is way easier to use. And it's just a pleasure, and it's easy to reuse this configuration file in other projects on other branches. If anything is pushed to a branch, like say we have merged pre-pull request to 1.13, the environment is automatically redeployed. So we don't have to, let's say, connect to the server, make a git pull and other things, like it's automatically done by Bunnyshell. We have features like easy connecting via SSH or remote development. Who doesn't like to debug on almost port? Sometimes it's needed just to, let's say, dump something. So we are able to connect directly to the pod. Creating next environments is easy. Just like the environments I showed you previously, it was a single Bunnyshell.yaml, and I've changed only 3 or 4 lines to create a brand new environment. And once I learned the team, they are able to set up next environments within, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the build time. And basically, that's all I can say how Sylius is utilizing the Bunnyshell. I'd like to thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Jacob. That was very beautifully put together. We're gonna leave space. We do have 2 comments here. I'm gonna read them out for you. So one is from Diego D'Amico. He's saying that it seems like a nice tool. Thanks for the explanation, Jacob. And the other one is from Lukasz. I hope I'm saying that right. Crucial. It said, I always thought that the PR preview feature of platform.sh is a killer feature, but we are using it only on private projects. Bunnyshell allowing that for the whole Sylius open source project is awesome. Thank you, Lukasz, for that as well. We are at the point of Q&A. We're gonna wait a bit for a few questions. If anyone has any questions for us, please feel free to comment them down. Right, here's one. So, Jacob, I think this is for you. So what motivated you to adopt Bunnyshell for Sylius in your software development process?
Okay, sure. So being honest, I 1 year ago I didn't hear about Bunnyshell at all. One of our core team members, Victor, told us that Bunnyshell is interested in letting us to use their services uh, aimed for the open source project. So we met at PHP 2023. It's a Polish, one of the largest Polish meetups in Poland. So once we meet with Aris and Sorin, uh, we decided we want to try it. They offered us a lot of help, and I'm really grateful for that. They helped us with almost every aspect of setting it up. And once we're done, I loved it. Like everything is done automatically without need of our, let's say, interruption in it.
Jacob,
Yeah, that's
Steve,
all. But it tells everything about how it started.
it's a set of communications here and there, right? Things
Yeah,
just happen and
exactly.
flow. See if we have any other question. Actually, I have one for you, Jacob. Uh, so you work also for a company, but also are involved in open source development ecosystem. I mean, that must be hard, man. We all work in the field and it's quite time consuming, both of these at the same time. So what is different? What are challenges you face in that
Yeah.
perspective?
Okay. So the most challenging in working like in a software house and doing an open source is finding a time for the contribution. But at the same time, I believe it's important to connect these two worlds. Like previously, when I was full-time Swiss developer, uh, I wasn't noticing uh, some problems that Sylius has. Like when you are working on Sylius, when you create a real shop, you find some places like I could write a better code in this place. This place is not as extendable as we want. And I found more, uh, let's say, bugged or let's say, maybe better, let's say, to places to improvement in a software house than for the past few months in sales working directly. So I believe that software houses using open source software are the best source of knowledge what and how can be improved because they are using this project every day. Sometimes the maintainers don't have enough time or don't have a big enough project to touch every area of the software they are writing. So I believe this is the main point. Like on the same we are on the same bike and we need to co-work to create a better software for everyone.
Very beautifully put. Thank you for that, Jacob. We do have another question from Lukash. It's let's say I have a potential Sylius project I would like to host in the cloud. How hard would it be to reuse Sylius configuration for a production grade use case?
Do you want to answer or should I?
I think the question was more directed towards Sylius. So let me just
Okay.
repeat that. Let's say as a potential Sylius project.
I see it. I see the question. I have opened it on the second window.
Perfect.
Okay, so basically it wouldn't be hard. Like we have a working configuration in Sylius. Basically, the steps we need to re restep is to copy the .bunnyshell directory as a whole and change key repo name and the branch name. And basically, it should be enough. Of course, there might be some adjustments like define, like declare PHP extensions because projects sometimes utilizes another extensions than Sylius. Uh, but it wouldn't be harder if you are familiar with Docker because it will be mainly tweaks in the Docker file rather than Bunnyshell.yum. Also, from what I remember, Bunnyshell has an official Sylius template. So it would
Correct.
be a way easier.
Correct. You can directly deploy a Sylius template when you're using the platform. There's another question from Gabriel. It's besides adding the Bunnyshell YAML specific files, what was missing from the original Docker of Sylius?
What changes? Mainly it was tweaking the database, like the original Sylius Docker, which was that day or like 1 year ago, because it has been changed in between the time. Had some issues with mainly with permissions from what I remember, like the assets directory, the build directory from the public. So the front-end assets in general had some issues with writing the files on the disk in persistent volumes. So mainly we have been fixing these issues, not anything beside it. So we can say in almost 99% it's clear Docker file from Sylius.
If I might add to that, actually, it is the use case that changes that people would have to, or one would have to introduce into Docker files when you're onboarding them into the Bunnyshell platform are basically just changes regarding mounts, any kind of volume mounts that you have, or any kind of scripts that are being copied across and need to be run by a specific user. So if you have a UID GID difference there, there's also something that you might need to tweak a little bit. But other than that, the Docker files are untouched. Well, there are any more questions, we'll just wait for another few seconds, see if there are any other questions that pop up. Right. Well, nothing's coming up. So thank you. It looks like I missed one somewhere. I can't see it. Regarding K8's cluster. Let's see. So there's the one to show you. 5, 5, 4. Sorry, Gabriel, I cannot see the question on my screen. Do
I
you
can
see it
repeat you
by
the
chance,
question if
Jacob?
you want.
Yeah, please.
The question is Bunnyshell requiring an existing KEAS cluster, so Kubernetes cluster, or is it also creating one for you?
No, actually, Bunnyshell does not create the cluster for you. We do have facilities to help you create the cluster. So you can create your cluster on whichever provider you are using. It's not necessarily restricted or vendor locked per se, but we do not create the cluster for you. There is a managed cluster for you to test on, but if you want to leverage the full potential of the platform, you have to create your own Kubernetes cluster and then connect it. And as I said, there's no vendor lock, which means you can connect to any of the big providers, or if you have a cluster that's private on-prem, you can do that as well. And from a Git perspective, you can also connect all of those. It's a single click, and then you can just move forward by deploying the environments that you need, configuring them, and start developing directly. Thank you for that question, Gabriel. Right. I'm guessing that's about it. Jacob, thank you once again. A very insightful session. Thank you for sharing your experience with us and your knowledge and how things went about. And thank you everyone for joining us in this webinar. We look forward to see you on our next webinar, TBD. And have a great rest of day, night, whichever time zone you exist in. All right. Here.
Thank you very much. If you have any questions, maybe you are watching this saved webinar, you can always write me, find me on LinkedIn or Sylius community Slack. So feel free to DM me.